Nesh Nikolic here, recording first episode of Better Thinking. I'm here with String, my brother, who's the audio guy, the tech guy, and he'll help with exploring what this podcast is about today. Welcome, String.
Thank you. I won't be making too much of an appearance. The reason why I'm on this first episode, well, if it is the first, maybe it's a little bit down the track, is to prompt Nesh to explain what the podcast is. So, yeah, let me start with that. What is it? Why the name Better Thinking?
This really evolved. I think we were talking about it previously. You know, this started in 2014 where we had that initial idea about having a podcast and sharing some good ideas with a wider audience. And I think since then it's matured to now, and I think the timing is right. The idea around Better Thinking is to go out and promote what psychology has to offer and share that with an audience. The applicability of psychology is important to me. Being a psychologist, I think it's useful that we use research, that we use those insights in a evidence-based way, and if we can go out and do so, we get really positive results. So this kind of comes from that perspective, bringing in guests who are experts in their field and learning from them so that we can then go out and apply that in our lives. So that's really where it's come about. It's about collecting, gathering data, information, and research from a broad range of people for our own utility and better thinking.
And who's the audience? Who do you expect to be listening here?
I think the audience are those who are interested in improving themselves or learning more about themselves. I think it ranges all the way from just the general population and those interested in that space, all the way through to clinicians, the health professionals, and I'd like to go out and say those who are curious about themselves. So it's quite broad in that way, and more so, and in some sense some nerds as well, because I'm a little bit nerdy and I'm just passionate about psychology. I think there's a lot of value in that space. So those wanting to know more will come back and listen.
Great. And with the guests, is there any specific angle, or you mentioned it being quite broad, who you're thinking of having on?
Yeah, I know that initially we thought about keeping it very segmented to psychology and those helping practices or professions. I think where it's evolved is going broader than that, because it's not just the clinicians that have something to say. In actual fact, part of the challenge in psychology is to go out and marry up the two, where psychologists and who are practicing psychology from a clinician perspective are guided by the researchers. And we shouldn't only be guided by research that's in our field. I think there's other fields that go out and really overlap. So it's a multidisciplinary space. So expect to hear from psychologists, psychiatrists, GPs, through to neuroscientists, academics, lawyers, economists, anyone that has something to say and obviously has a strong knowledge in their field, will be applying that to that psychological framework.
All right. Well, I look forward to working in the background, and let's see where this goes to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be this sort of dialogue. It's going to be an evolving space. And I think that's what makes it fairly exciting. Very similar to working with clients. There isn't a script that you work to. It's a conversation. And I think conversations is somewhat what's lacking these days. And if we can have these open, longer conversations, we get to learn the nuances around these disciplines. And in doing so, I think we learn a whole lot more about ourselves. So watch this space.